Hello everyone and welcome to the Radio Juxtapoz podcast produced by The Unibrow. This episode of Radio Juxtapoz with Los Angeles-based painter Daniel Gibson is brought to you by the generous support of the Artemisia Foundation, a world-class museum of contemporary graffiti and street art in Bisbee, Arizona. The Artemisia Foundation features over 1,000 works of art by 125 artists from 50 countries around the globe. You can explore their programming and collection over at artemisia.com. So please subscribe to this podcast, share, stay engaged, and now listen to Radio Juxtapoz host Evan Preco in conversation with Daniel Gibson.
You have a good podcast voice, I feel.
Do
like.
I?
Yeah.
Oh my God. When I hear my voice, it's like,
so you're never going to listen to this?
I'll listen, but like the first 5 minutes, like I usually do, I'm like, just, what are they saying? What did I say?
Oh, true. We'll go gentle. No. What, do you listen to, like, I find myself listening to podcasts a lot more now, but like things that aren't necessarily related to anything I do. Like I listen to a lot of basketball podcasts.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
Yeah. Cause they just seem like they're not related to anything like bad news.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not avoiding. I just feel like that's what I'm into right now.
Yeah. I have some I was telling Shanley about what's a podcast? It's like a big podcast. It has actors in it. It's
Joe Rogan.
No, I don't listen to him. No, it's the.
Oh, is it the one with the Jason Bateman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smartless.
Yeah.
I listen to them because I'm like, it just makes me like numb out and just feels there's no politics in it.
Right.
Which I need a break from.
Right.
Like we all do. But like, it's just kind of like this, like they kind of take jabs at each other and it feels good for like, it feels like, it's just like a nice little warm blanket. I don't know.
I sometimes just think that they shouldn't have guests because it should just be the three of them.
Yeah.
Because they don't really need the guest there.
And there was another one, and they're just like very middle of the road where they just kind of like lightly talk about stuff. And I think I need that because I am like, I do, we have a no politics in the house rule right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it's just, I'm insane.
How's that going?
It's going good. I like my new thing that we didn't talk about that's saving my life right now is, it's called the brick.
Okay.
And
you throw a brick every time you think of politics?
No.
You throw a brick through a window.
Got it for me. It's like a little thing. It's like a little magnet that I stick on the refrigerator. And then when I leave in the morning for to come to the studio, I tap it and it turns my phone into a brick phone. So if anyone's trying to call me or I don't have Instagram, I don't have Facebook, I don't have any like all those bike podcasts or bike thing. I don't listen to anything when I come to work and I get so much work done. I just get phone calls.
So it blocks you from being able to do any social media or anything.
It turns my phone into a Nokia. Like,
oh my God, that's amazing.
You got to get one. This is like a plug for brick.
Exactly.
But like,
by the way, Daniel Gibson is the guest on the Radio Juxtapoz podcast. Forgot to mention that part of this.
We've been talking about doing this for a while. And I'm glad that we always go like, we always see each other like at a show or something or on the street. We're like, podcast soon. We're like, yes. And then like, I'm a fan. I love this podcast. I'm like glad to be on it.
I'm sorry that we sort of waited to the point where you're not talking about politics at home. Like we waited so like it really felt.
Yeah.
But I think that's the whole point, right? It's just to just keep having conversations, regardless if they have political overtones or undertones or whatever. Just having conversations, letting artists talk. That's the kind of thing that we need to make sure that we're still doing.
I think this is the best timing right now.
Yeah. Well, it's also a good time for you because you are about to open something in Miami.
Yeah.
We're also being deliberate. In fact, we're trying to time it with something, which is nice as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
And what is this thing in Miami?
MAP, Marquez Art Projects. It's a foundation in Miami. It started maybe 2022, 23. It's a cool space.
Yeah,
John Marquez. Yeah. He's a collector, really good collection, and really big supporter of a lot of people I know and artists that I love. So it's really nice to be in there.
And well, it's also, and I was worried in January that you were perhaps in the fire zone to lose your home. So I was, so this, I'm very grateful to be able to talk to you while you still have your stuff and your house did not burn down. But this obviously this body of work is made with you in the shadows of living near Altadena, with California on your mind, with the area in your mind. So the work has a sense of urgency too, that makes this conversation nice to have.
Yeah. Well, there was an urgency to the show was already started, already thinking about the show. And I had made about 2 paintings. And then during everything that was happening, I just kind of when I could break away from the house, I would just come here and make these ink drawings that I don't think I've showed you yet. They're in the other room, but just stacks of ink drawings of not really well, I think the angel first came. This is the one I was telling you, and there's other ones around in the other rooms, but I think I just started drawing these fast ink drawings of not necessarily fire, but maybe the flowers are more explosive.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
And this idea of this huge, we live under this huge oak tree that's 100 and something years old, 2 actually, but they're grandpa and grandma, the trees, and grandpa sits in our backyard in this huge, massive oak tree, and I feel like it has its own ecosystem, but for the 2 days of just waiting for embers to fall and with the water hose and just staring up at the tree, a lot of the trees came into the paintings, and all the burnt trees around Altadena, which is really sad and hard to it's really hard to not I didn't want to make a show about just the devastation, but more thinking about the trails that I love, and the houses that are or were, or there's still some left, but around the area that it's really hard to. I drive through it every day to run the dog or ride my bike, and it's hard to. I was telling a friend that I need to choose a different way to get to JPL area.
Yeah.
Because it's just every time I go through it with a lump in my throat, because it's just there's still life there, and it's still it feels really fresh. And there's a lot of family members still out there just kind of rummaging through their stuff. And it's just I'm I need to find, maybe I should take the freeway. Just during the fires, I managed to get on my bike and ride into the fires, and seeing people fleeing and running while it was happening. It was something that's burned in my brain forever, so.
It's not as if you don't paint the landscape of California, especially.
Yeah. So
it's not as if it's the first time, but it might be the first time you've painted it with this sort of backdrop, which is destruction. Cause I know, I look at your work, and obviously there's the concept of labor, what land means in terms of labor. There's also the environmental concerns, what we're doing to the earth. But it feels your work has always had double meaning, but this felt, we said earlier, you're not religious, but it has a sort of religious, of what was, or what can be reborn. And so it feels like a different approach to the landscape. But you didn't have that much time to think about that. So maybe maybe I'm over simplifying.
Well, I think the first, I did come in with lots of energy to maybe paint with a deadline, but also like paint or draw what I was feeling, I did leave out a lot of stuff, but I do think of, when I think of Altadena, I think of nature. Mm-hmm. Or when I, I don't really have a connection to the Palisades, so I kind of don't. Yeah, I've been there maybe once,
right?
But Altadena I love, and right. I go there. I'm in the mountains every day if I can, and I'm always in the mountains staring down, and just being out there is very spiritual to me. And I always say when I need to think about paintings, that's where I go. I go into those mountains and I go ride my bike and climb for hours, and and stop a lot. Like I don't even Strava stuff because like I'm stopping so much that to like jot stuff down, ideas down. And a lot of ideas come from that mountain, I feel. And so when I see it on fire, it's devastating. You know, it's like,
yeah.
And like, I think there's going to be a lot of cool trail work that people can get involved in to like go help, which I'm going to do when I get done with the show and have a little time in my retirement.
Yeah. Well, yeah, which we're going to talk about your retirement that's actually just being a normal art schedule. What our dear listeners will understand is that Daniel hasn't taken a break in 5 years, but he's not going to take a break. He's just going to not do as many shows
I'm just going to like,
you're not retiring. No,
but I kind of like, that's the joke around the house is like, my retirement party, you know, when are we, you know, but like, no, I'm just this year after the show, I'm going to like, just come in every day like I normally do. Like I come in super early if I can and leave super late. And it's been like that for years now. So I want to like kind of dial back and like learn how to like have more of an outside life. And just leave at 5.
Right.
Like a normal person.
Well, this is the part of it. Yeah. Is that you and we went into a therapy session at lunch before this and we're going to continue that now. You've been wanting to spend as much time in the studios because there's part of you that feels like that you are fighting this uphill battle of the image of what you want.
Yeah.
Even though to us as the viewer, the works are beautiful, vibrant, there's energy. Yeah. You come into the studio, it feels like every piece of you is all over the studio. And it's like it's actually a wonderfully organized mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you haven't really had a chance to really enjoy that or even it's almost like you need a second to not have an intention, the attention for yourself.
Right. And just to, just because I'm always engaged in the work, I never really step back. And I think what part of me wanting to like not show for the rest of the year, which isn't that crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe into the next other year. I just want to like be able to like make a painting and really sit with it.
Yeah.
Like I always like, I watch a lot of video, like I'm always looking at artists and stuff, you know, but Peter Doig, like I love his paintings and I love his process because he just seems so relaxed doing it. Like, of course he has like the capital and the time and like he can choose whatever show he wants. Besides all that, it seems like there'll be like a painting in the studio and there'll be a little bit of paint on it. And then like 5 years, or you'll look at the titles and it's like 2004 to 2017. You worked on that painting, or it just sat there and you kind of like touched it every now and again. And then it started talking to him more. And I like when you see speed in paintings, but I also like when you see time, you know? And that's what I'm always trying to like, with the short amount of time that I usually have to make a painting, like I still want to like capture time in that. So it's like spacing out the paintings. Like this gets a little of this because I need this in a month to be feeling like it needs more of this, you know? So having time in the paintings is important to me.
Right.
And it shows.
Right.
I can always tell, and I always love paintings that I can tell that they've like stepped away from it for a second and kind of lightly did something and then scrubbed it out and you could tell how the paint's like, you know, applied and taken away. And you can see that dried, let the painting dry and then scraped it and came back. And there's a lot of, time between each thing. And I want to try that because I feel like I try as best as I can to try to execute that with the short amount of time that I have. But,
there's a thing that you were talking about earlier and we're just jumping into the thick of it is that, you always feel like you're painting with a lot of your soul in each thing that you're doing, but it's almost like you want to take a break to paint more with your heart. Because you said gut, but I was trying to figure out what the difference was, but I feel like heart and soul are so connected, but there's some part of you that you seem like you're giving a lot of one thing and you want to take a step back to give a little bit more of the other thing. Is that, I'm trying to figure out we were trying to figure out the best way to word it.
Yeah. I guess like, when I'm, you know, like if I'm making like say a landscape, like when I'm painting something, I do really feel emotional when I'm like, you know, what's coming out of my hand to the surface. Like I really like I'm quiet. It's quiet and things are like my thoughts are in a place, like a certain place. And like, I kind of stay there. And like a lot of the times, like it's thinking about, you know, my life and how I got here. And I get very like into this whole like cosmic thing of like this top down point of view of like where I'm at sitting in the studio. I'm alive and I'm healthy and I get to do this. And like all these emotions start like swirling around. You know?
It's
like,
good emotions.
Yeah, they're good and they're bad. And they feel like, you know, like I think about dead friends. I think about everything when I'm making a flower that someone sees at a gallery. Like a lot of like, wow, I really cried over that one. I don't want to really scrape, you know, I really like, you know, battled over a lot of stuff while I'm making something that you're looking at and just going like, oh, he painted a landscape with a sunset, you know, but like.
They never feel like that though.
Yeah,
they do feel more about.
I hope so. I hope they don't, because like I really do feel like I put a little bit of that energy into it, which I think a lot of artists should do. Yeah, they do. That's why like when you see something that really grabs you and you're looking at a flower in a vase on a table, like why am I drawn to this so much? And I think that's why. But you know,
are they real? Are these real places?
Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah.
No, because I'm just drawing like the idea of what like I draw. I'm always saying like my inspiration's in the desert, like where I'm from, but like I don't think I've made one desert painting.
That's why I'm asking.
But it's like the idea of like being out there, like your imagination is what's growing. You know, like your imagination is filling the void of a desert where it's just like dirt and sky and mountains in the background. You know, like I'm filling it with, you know, with the idea when I was a kid, I would sit out in the desert and like imagine all the stuff around me, like even like a pool or like a and when it would rain, like the pools would come, you know, so like everything's imaginary to me. You know, I do when I would go, like I went to a farm school, like it was Westside Elementary Farm School when we lived in the factory, and we would get bused like an hour and a half. I have that story of like I went an hour and a half through the desert we took a bus for like an hour and a half to school.
Okay.
We had to pick up every person at the farms. And, I would always, pretend that I was on a motorcycle next to the bus, like going, and I was waving. Like I always just had this ultra, like other reality of what was happening, you know? And like, so yeah, when I paint, like,
where was this, by the way?
In Placer City, California.
Okay.
Yeah. Like in El Centro, Imperial Valley.
Yeah.
But, when I draw a mountain, I don't look at a picture, or I just kind of, you know, just kind of comes out.
You are first generation
from, yeah.
And your parents came to the United States in the 60s, 70s? Yeah. Did they know that they had a daydreamer on their hands in you? And did they want you to be a daydreamer? Did they want you, what were they kind of wanting for you as you were getting older? And because you didn't just jump into art. This has been a gradual thing.
Yeah. Well, I think like all my two brothers are artistic, but like I think and have that mind, but I think to be an artist you have to like really dig deep, you know, and really go for it. It's not, I don't think it's like they were encouraging, I think, but like it was never like, I don't even think they had an idea that someone could actually be an artist. Like my dad's the guy that adopted my dad, he calls him his dad, Gibson, the Gibson where I get the white last name from. There's a white guy that adopted my dad, brought them to the United States. Okay. But he was an artist. He was a painter. So like, and I have some of his paintings now and I just stare at, and he had a friend that was a painter. So my dad had an idea of like art and stuff like that. But I mean, it's Yuma, Arizona, and there's no like, I don't think they went to art galleries or thought that.
Right. And not that many people did. You know, it's like, it's such a.
Did you go to art?
No, God, no. My parents were, we went to like blockbuster things, like a Marc Chagall show that would come to the Bay Area. I remember we came to Van Gogh's works were circling the United States at one point. We went to LA to see it, but we never, no. And it's not because it's just not the way my parents grew up. I mean, they grew up, not around the arts in that way.
Yeah. Most don't.
But they wanted me to feel like that it existed, but I don't think they didn't have the language, and nor did many people have the language of being like, you should be an art writer, or you should be in the involved. It just wasn't on the cards, you know? And it wasn't really until, I think, at least in my world, wasn't until becoming aware of like the Barry McGee, Margaret Kilgallen, late or 90s San Francisco scene, that artwork in that context existed for somebody like me who was on the periphery of enjoying it.
That's what I first learned about.
Right.
Yeah.
Why? So I don't know why that's so far. I know we're jumping, but like,
no,
I was talking to Ruby Neri about this not too long ago. I'm like, do you understand how vital your group of friends was to California? You know, lots of people, but
farther. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's almost like she's not quite aware of it either. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing. You're not quite aware of how important you guys really are to a huge part of the art, younger people than you who are.
Yeah. It was pivotal.
Pivotal.
That was the first stuff that the Bay Area, like the admission school.
Yeah.
That was my first intro, I think, to art.
Yeah. Absolutely.
When like I was 99 to 2000 I started.
Art made for us, I guess you should say. Not, not the Art 101 stuff.
Yeah. But the Art 101 stuff, I just went and stole the biggest books out of the library because I knew that they were important.
Right. Like, well, there's a reason why you did that.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah.
Well, it was just that you just knew that you were trying to play catch up really fast.
Yeah.
You jumped like 3 steps ahead and you're like, I'm going to. What was the first book you picked up?
It was the books that I took.
Yeah.
It was a Jackson Pollock book. It was a Matisse book, and it was a Picasso book. The 3 101s.
Yeah, 101s. Perfect. Yeah.
The, like,
all different styles. Yeah.
They couldn't even be like folded up. They were so big. I was like, these guys must be really important. And I just took those books.
Yeah.
The huge books, and never gave them back to the library. I don't know where they're at, but
so yeah, you jumped right in.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, that story. I was trying to impress a girl, and she like got me in this magical world that like, I'm very grateful for that still to this day. I think we're friends and we talk, but like, I always say like, if she was an accountant, like, I don't know how to add. I would have had to like, I would have not replied like, yeah, I'm a painter, so. But yeah, I immediately said like that next day, in my mind, something clicked where I was like, I'm an artist.
Right.
I'm an artist now.
Okay. Right. But
such a embarrassing.
No, it's not. I mean, it's what it is basically all of us, everyone has an entry point.
Yeah.
But so the mission school is the first time, because look, no matter who you are in the world, if you look at Pollock, Matisse, and Picasso first, it's not for any of us. It's just something to be like, wow. Yeah. It feels so distant from the reality of what, even if you grew up in the arts, like to become the next Matisse is like, but the mission school was the first time something felt like it was for, it was possible. It
was Juxtapoz. It was, Amir's, Beautiful Decay.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was, I would.
Beautiful Decay was such a good magazine.
It was so rad. Yeah.
Respect to Beautiful Decay for sure. Yeah.
I still have them somewhere.
Yeah.
Around.
So good. Yeah.
And like, I would go straight to the newsstand to get those 2 things to learn about, from music to art, I was more like musician. I would say back in the, like trying to play in bands with friends, but, Yeah, I really love the art thing because you could just be by yourself and you could like, I don't know, it just felt like therapy to me. It felt good to like just make these like, I would make these like weird faces. I didn't really know how to paint or draw or anything. So like I would like, you know, learn slowly. I always say I get tricked the long way, you know, which I feel like I'm still like, this thing is never ending. And it's always changing. So it just feels fun. Like, I feel like this is something I can be 80 years old and still find inspiration in something and keep painting and working. And I don't know, artists don't retire, right?
Right. And but you've talked about retirement.
Yeah.
But you still like, we're still kind of, I want to get back to this thing about you built up to being a painter. You went into this crazy direction of graphic design.
Yeah.
That you taught yourself graphic design and had some significant jobs in the world of graphic design. I mean, you got a job at Levi's, you got a job at these different places, which is like, you know, people kill for those jobs.
Yeah.
But you taught yourself all these things.
Well, I went to San Diego City College for graphic design, but I switched to like, I made these art books and got into ArtCenter. So like, but when I worked for like as a graphic designer for Lucky Brand, my friend Danny Harmon, who like I met through music, he got me a job and he was like, yeah, it was like mostly like drawing logos and stuff like that, like almost like t-shirt graphics, but I was in the marketing department.
Right. Okay.
But I didn't really know, my skills of a graphic designer weren't good, but I was like kind of got in through a friend. And
you keep saying that your skills were not good. You were clearly
as a graphic designer. No, they weren't. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to let you say that. I'm going to let you have that
Trust
one.
Trust me.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Me and a computer are so bad, but I was a little, now I have a computer and I don't know how to work it, but I can like design a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like,
right. Okay.
I can color, I don't know if I can color separate anymore, but anyway, I kind of got these jobs because I was like a good friend of my friend Danny. I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I knew I was supposed to be painting. I knew I was supposed to be making fine art.
But you knew it was like a means to an end, maybe? Or no, did you not even? I
just thought like, oh, this is a paycheck. And I didn't really know about contemporary art. I didn't really know who was who, or I knew about Mission, San Francisco Mission, like Fecal Face.
Of course, yeah.
I knew about all that stuff.
Respect John Tripp. Yeah, awesome.
I knew about the San Francisco scene.
Yeah.
I knew about all that, but I didn't really, that was as far as I got.
Yeah.
You know, like, cause, you know, I do come from like bikes and skateboarding and stuff like that. So like this kind of fell into my wheelhouse. But yeah, I didn't really understand contemporary art until I started working for Mary. And that's where I like kind of like
Mary Weatherford.
Yeah. And that's where I called her one day and I was like, you know, I kind of went to your university since I'm a dropout of everything. Like I learned everything, like how the galleries worked, how all the books on her table, I would just look and study, listen to conversations while she, you know, when studio visits and how to operate a studio visit, how to set up a studio, how to, you know, like I learned everything there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you're an art assistant, like, or assisting an artist that is doing stuff, you know, at that level, like pay attention because like someday you'll be there maybe. And like, you'll know what to do.
So that's okay. So we're going to speed this up. You just you did commercial jobs for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And you found yourself in a situation where you could work for Mary Weatherford, getting into an artist studio, seeing the day to day of an artist who's, you know, in capital I, important artist.
Oh yeah.
Who was open enough to make sure that you also, I mean, you were able to learn a lot under her. Mm-hmm. But what was you, like you said, you didn't have a lot of, you know, ideas of the contemporary art world. So what did you learn? I mean, you just mentioned some stuff you learned, but like, what did you actually learn about, artists themselves? Like, did you start piecing some things together in your head of like, okay, all right, like this is, I could do this. Not maybe on that level, but just on a level.
I just wanted to see where, like, I kind of promised myself that I was just going to make art from now on. Like I wasn't going to do graphic design. I wasn't going to do, or like anything else. I was just going to like get a job wherever I could and just try to make work and try to get better and see where it went, you know. No idea that I'd never really thought like people were going to buy work or anything. I just kind of like, I want to do this for myself to see if like I can get better at making work, because up until this point, like, yeah, I was an artist and painter since the days in San Diego. But I wasn't really good. And I didn't really know how to get better because I wasn't studying any of the greats, you know, like I was just kind of like making a mess for years. And, you know, the drug and alcohol problems, I would like get an idea and like get really excited and then go get a 12-pack and never come back to my easel, you know? So like there was like 14 years of like that,
right?
Of like more like thinking I was an artist. Or in my mind, I felt like it, and I would have paint all over my clothes and my face, but like I never really finished anything, or like nothing really came to fruition. You know, like it just like kind of like died with the idea. Like I would come home and just scribble like these like incoherent ideas on a piece of paper that I was too drunk enough to even read the next day, and then like they'd just be lost, you know? So there was a lot of years that like I did that, you know, just like, it's so sad to think about that. I kind of wasted a lot of time, which leads me to why I don't waste any time. I'm always in here making up time, because I did like get this like new lease on life when I was like 35 or 36, you know, and didn't really start selling my work till I was 40, I don't know, 44, 43, you know? So like, you know, it was that long road of like almost like making just stuff like angrily, you know, and now like I just feel like I'm playing catch up. That's why I do work a lot, you know. So
it's probably why you get so emotional in front of the paintings.
Yeah,
as well.
Because like I'm not supposed to be here, man.
Well, that, but also
really, you know,
it's because it's not. I don't want to say it's because of lost time, but it's also because you're clear. You're actually it's almost a proud thing. Like you're like, I'm actually present now.
Yeah.
Which is what you were trying to get to. Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a blessing. It's really a blessing. I can't say it enough, and I'll probably say it on anytime anyone asks me, because that is the reason, you know. And I'm like truly grateful for like how things just kind of like fell into like, oh, this happened because this happened, and I was here, and I was, you know, It's just like, I don't know, that's like, I'm so grateful every day for that, you know.
Why do you think the work started resonating with people so strongly right as like it was kind of right as the pandemic was sort of like, I understand so many artists had a nice, like there was a moment where a lot of artists were being paid attention to because people had time to stop. But what was why do you think your work resonated so much and beyond just California, which is also really cool for us who are from California?
I know for me, like during that time, because I got attention during that time, but it was because I had the ability to be in the studio, right? Because I worked at Mary's, and she was like, just go, like she would tell all her assistants, like, go to your studios and like paint, and like I'm gonna pay you for like if you were here, but like just go and do your work. And I I got so fired up.
You were like, you've been waiting your life for this.
I get to pretend that that I'm a full-time artist.
Right.
And I took it super serious. And like, I would wake up like I was going to go to Mary's, and I would just paint, and I would make coffee, paint, meditate, go for a bike ride, and come back and just work all day long. And I got better. I noticed I started turning corners. I'm like, hey, I've never done that before.
Right.
And, you know, like I'm started getting a little better. And then,
that must feel good.
Yeah, it felt good because like I got to wake up and really dream and really think about like, oh, I like being by myself. I like, being in the comfort of I'm okay with myself now.
Mm-hmm.
Before my whole life, I've never been comfortable in my skin. And now I was like comfortable in my skin and I can be by myself, without getting fucked up, which is a blessing. And then just being able to work for hours and hours and hours. And I still have, like, when I worked at Mary's, I would work at her studio and I'd come home and I would like put, I would put a cell phone on my cell phone on my forehead with like an hour timer, and I would turn all the lights on and sleep for an hour and then wake up and start working on my own paintings until, pretty late. So like by Thursday when I went to work, I was like super tired, but I knew that I had to make my own work or try to get better, at my practice here. So it worked out. Like, I really feel like people always, I don't know who was talking to me about, like, they wanted me to, during the pandemic, like, they were like, how did you do in the pandemic? And I'm like, oh, I did great.
I know. So I feel so guilty.
I feel bad. Cause I was like, oh no, I actually got to like just be in here. The world was quiet and, I was just painting every day nonstop,
I will say the best issues of Juxtapoz I think we ever did. The magazine's 30-year history, the best were like 2020, 2021, 2022, because everybody was locked in on making just great. Like the artists were doing great work. We were doing good writing. Our interviews were great. Yeah. There was so much social justice stuff happening. We really just delved into it, jumped into it, did great. I'm so proud of those three. And it feels kind of guilty at times saying that, we were... It's a good job.
Yeah.
But this brings me back to something we started talking about. Were you even, as you had this burst of energy and of excitement to be an artist, full time, did you know what you were making? Did you know what you were painting? Or did that kind of come later? Like, cause you've been talking about how you've been just bursting out.
Yeah.
Do you know what you're making? Do you feel like
now? Or then?
All of it. Because it's not that long, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what these paintings are? I know you said they're fantasies, but like, what are they?
But I can, the thing about the paintings is I can like, if I went backwards, I can see how I keep going. I just keep going the same way and like it keeps growing and growing, where like if I look at a painting from 3 years ago, I'll glance over at a painting now and I'm like, oh, all that information that I was gathering has turned into this painting now. And then like it's always the last painting that I make, which is that one that is next, is going to be the starting point to the next info for all the other stuff. Yeah. So it always just feels like this timeline that I'm working on, which is like hard for me to like, cause I'm always like wanting to like make like these huge abstract paintings, but like it doesn't fit in the timeline, So like, I think like on the break, I want to like explore with like making more of a mess, thinking more about speed and time.
Yeah.
But like, cause most of these paintings, the drawings come from speed and then the painting comes with like slowing down in time. But I just want to have speed the whole time in a painting.
Which is interesting because you're also talking about taking more time.
Yeah. Yeah. But just
conversation, but I understand what you're saying.
Taking more time. I think when I say it is just like taking more time just to be in here and not have to like show the work or just kind of like have a friend come over and we can like, look at some paintings, but like it not having to go anywhere. And
not every painting has to be for a show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That seems like
that's
freedom.
What I want to like just see what it feels like because it hasn't been like that for a while. So
are your works political?
I would say so. Yeah. But I don't like shoving politics down people's throat anymore. Like
anymore?
I used to, yeah.
You think you used? I mean,
I used to do political posters in San Diego.
Around. Oh, we're talking about that far back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, but like now I just don't. I'm not going to change anyone's mind. I don't think at all. So like, I want them to see it later. So I do hide stuff in the paintings, and when I talk about migration or immigration, like. Or just people crossing for a better life. Like I'm not really going to show that image. I still want it to be in there and I still want it for people to get it down the road. But, I'm not going to change a Trump supporter's mind.
Right.
You know, like it's just not happening there. We live in a country now where we're like, we have two different news sources for the same thing. And the other people, the others, no, but like the people that are, you know, believe in Trumpism, they just really get, and you can't really blame them at this point because they get this insanely different news source that we do.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like I'll look at what I'm listening to and I'm like, all right, come on. You're just, I know what you're doing, but like, so we live in a confusing time. Knowing
about migration and immigration, being in the work, but it's also, like I said earlier, it's about the earth.
Yeah.
There's also huge, like this universal holy thing that is Mother Earth, that is in every single one of your paintings, that regardless of where you are in the political spectrum, there's something extremely...
Well, because the politics are just it's just like, seriously, it's to sell soap. A lot of like, it's for the news cycle. I don't really, I stay out of that, but it's really just the humanity of people and the earth that we're living on.
Yeah.
And we are like, you know, we are living on this earth.
Yeah.
We are a part of this earth.
Right.
And I think like, I don't know. I think that a lot of religions, like compassion is usually last.
Yeah.
You know, like, and just in the world, like, but as I say that, I think of like how many people do come together during crisis and, you know,
but also, you know, I look at some of the work that you do. People have been painting flowers for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But everyone paints flowers a little bit differently, and everybody approaches it in a different way. And I think of your flowers as being not a still life, but like a lot of life.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like a weird way of putting it, but it feels, they feel like they're like they just feel so moving, fluid.
Well, like here, I mean,
we're looking at
a painting. But there's a bunch of birds, silhouettes of birds swirling around in the center of a flower. That's just the world to me.
Yeah.
And the flower is the world, maybe.
Yeah.
So like, it's just not, I've never really painted. I don't have the energy to look at a source and paint from it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just never, I just have to really paint what's coming out of my, you know, body.
Yeah.
There's faces in everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was just gonna say, like, there is like.
I just noticed another thing.
Absolutely. I know we're like sitting on a podcast, looking at a painting, talking about. I was just gonna say there is. I just think there's just a. You could talk to me all day long about how you want to get more abstract, but I feel like you're just getting more humanity in the work than ever before, without having.
I hope so. Yeah.
Without having literal figures in them.
We were talking about, and I still don't know how to flesh this out.
Yeah.
So it's weird that I'm saying it on this microphone, but
let's do it. This is what it's all for, man.
But I'm always looking, and I was really like spitballing when we were talking, but I'm always in my work is always looking for like a savior.
Yeah.
Or like someone to help us, like us as in humanity. Like if, I always used to say like, you know, what will bring people together on Earth is like if someone from another planet came, then we'll probably still fight, sadly, now. But like, I mean, I said this years ago, but like, I always just like think that we'd come, we all just want to come together. I know I sound like a fucking hippie, but like, yeah, I'm always looking for this like savior, like I'm not religious. I've never been religious. I didn't grow up with religion. And just recently, like 10 years ago, I've finally been accepting of people that line with the religion, you know, line themselves with the religion.
Right.
And I've always been like embarrassingly really anti-organized religion. And now I just like, now that I've like pray and meditate on my own, you know, like we're all just trying to achieve the same thing of peace in our hearts and in our minds. And I get it now. Sometimes.
Do you feel like artists are more important than ever during these times? Or do you feel like do you think it's more about just keeping conversations alive? Because I think as much as I feel like I really, really feel like having art is obviously very important. And I feel like having artistic conversations around art are very important. But I just like think about the idea that just having a conversation that's unfiltered is really great. And it feels weird to be saying this in America in 2025, but like this is kind of kind of crazy, but like, it feels like this is sort of, we're protesting in a weird way, even though you and I are not protesting anything at the moment.
Protesters are people that protest in colleges are getting like deported.
I mean, it's
we could do a whole other podcast.
I mean, and I guess that's why I feel as if
back here.
Yeah. It just, so it feels more vital to have these conversations more than ever.
Yeah. I think
I feel like we shouldn't have to say it, but I feel like we do have to say it, because you're right. We found out yesterday that a Palestinian was put into prison in Louisiana, which isn't where he lives. Yeah. He lives in Manhattan.
He does?
Yeah, they, the ICE raided government or, university housing to take. I mean, it's like, you're just like, all these things, you're just, you can't, you're trying to wrap your brain around it and you can't. And I asked you at lunch, is you do work with Border Kindness and you do work, you give back to causes that help people who are making their way to the United States or people who are in the United States. Yeah. Does it feel more vital than ever to keep doing that work? Or are you trying to rethink about how you approach helping people? Or what is in your mind? And what do you know about what's going on right now, just on a humanitarian level?
I think everyone's trying to figure out what, I just talked to Kelly, or we went to eat lunch and
from Border Kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
which is a great organization. Everybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
and you give, I think, a portion of your painting. You
try,
you try. I just want to make sure we get the backstory.
When I sell paintings, or like I'm always donating, or I print. Like we have a print thing through Almine Rech, like you can get, and the proceeds 100% of my proceeds go to Border Kindness.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they're just kind of like trying to figure out because they're going to start getting. They're already starting to get attacked a little bit, all like 501c3.
Yeah.
I can never do that.
No, I know. I'm glad you said it slowly, because I would have.
They're starting to like, I think the audits are starting to happen. So they're trying to figure out like who's what and what are they doing. And so it is getting a little scary for helping people. I help out as much as possible with my schedule, but usually it's just monetarily. Yeah. Organizing stuff. I'm bringing toys down, but I want to try to help out more on my little retirement break.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. It feels like part of your retirement break is to give yourself a little time to be part of something greater than the studio. Yeah. Yeah. And you've afforded yourself the time to do that.
Yeah, I've been talking about building a super adobe on my property on the border for like, I don't know, embarrassingly.
What does that mean, by the way? You mentioned that at lunch. What does a super adobe mean?
A super adobe is, have you heard of Cal Earth? Yeah. It's just like a rammed earth in a coil. It's like a coil pot. Okay. That you make in grade school or whatever, and then you flip it upside down. Yeah. It's like an igloo. Yeah. Okay. But it's like fire resistant. It's pretty. It stays cool in the summer. Okay. Yeah, I just want to build one on my property just to see and just be out there more. Yeah, just be closer to Imperial Valley, being closer to Border Kindness, and seeing what else I can do. Yeah. There's a lot of open air detention centers. I think that closed down out there already, but I don't know. I just want to have a drawing practice out there. And see what, where I could help out. Yeah. Cause I feel weird. I always, even when I was in punk bands, we'd always to get into the show, you had to bring canned food or I've always attached, if I'm going to do something, I want to try to, proceeds of the t-shirt. It's always been something. Since I was even in band days or it's always just trying to give back to someone or something, I don't know.
Well, it doesn't
seem that hard.
It doesn't seem like it's that hard. No. And it does feel like in a world where the humanity is being stripped away from people, it's just bringing back some humanity back to people. Yeah. Because there's always going to be people who are trying to take away or prevent or to do things that are dehumanizing, and it's just about bringing some humanity back. Yeah, where you can.
You have $5, can give someone one.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and I really believe in the whole, like, when you give, you receive. So it's almost selfish.
Yeah.
On my part.
So it's not really a retirement you're looking for. No. You're looking at, I think it's your time. And it's also, it seems like you're trying to, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this, but it's like you have this, you've had some good years and you want to give back the kind of these good years that you've had, or like or be able to do it beyond yourself.
Yeah, it's just like there's another organization, Borderland Relief Collective, and we do water drops on bikes, on e-bikes. So we go out there, we look like cool. we look like we're looking at Native American like cave paintings. And so we go out there and the Border Patrol's like, oh, you guys are looking for the pictographs? Yeah, they're over there somewhere. And we're like, thanks. And we're carrying like 400 pounds of water by the border where these like hard to reach areas. And I want to do more of that. Like I always feel bad that I'm just like in here all the time. And like, I'm on a thread of like kind of this border watch thread that can be sad because they do find bodies out there, and I'm like just reading about it and I'm just having to paint and I can't go help, or, you know, so I want to go work with them more and drop more water, go on more of the hikes that they go on, just to like leave medical supplies out there and water kits. Like it's cold right now. Like they'll leave ponchos and foil if someone gets hurt, they can like keep warm.
It's so clear, though, that your work is all about this.
Yeah. I've been talking about it forever.
Yeah.
Like even when I would drop banners off freeways in San Diego that like would say like all humans, all rights all the time, have all rights all the time. And, you know, or, you know, I would bring a little boy from Tijuana, like a picture, and put him in the US because I didn't want them to, you know, like just over that border, there's like kids and families starving, and like, you know, I just didn't want them to be overlooked, you know, in a way. So I've always kind of talked about this, you know, so it's just oil paintings. But before it was like making stencils in the street, or making, you know, I got into graphic design to make posters, you know, for street posters. I feel like I'm always kind of talking about some kind of, savior again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the butterfly series. That was like, you know, it's like this butterfly that swoops through the desert and picks up migrants and brings them safely out of the desert, you know, the harsh desert. And like, that sounds like someone religious would say.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you.